Most people never imagine that their feet could be the first messengers of kidney trouble. But after decades of listening to patients and observing how the body speaks, I can tell you with certainty, your feet can whisper what your kidneys are struggling to shout. I've seen it too many times. Swelling, numbness, changes in skin, they all start subtly, and too often, those signs are ignored until the damage is no longer reversible. This conversation today is about paying attention, about noticing what your body has been trying to say, about catching kidney disease before it catches you. Let's begin with one of the most common and easily overlooked signs: foot swelling. You might think your shoes feel tighter because of the weather, or maybe too much salt in your lunch. But if your feet swell regularly, especially at the end of the day, your kidneys could be struggling. Healthy kidneys remove excess fluid from your body. When they slow down, that fluid has to go somewhere and gravity pulls it down to your feet and ankles. This is not the kind of puffiness that goes away after you kick your feet up for a bit. This is swelling that leaves marks from your socks, swelling that causes your shoes to press against your toes, swelling that sometimes stays long after you've rested. I had a patient in his late 50s, worked construction for most of his life. He told me that for months, he thought the swelling in his feet was just from standing too long. It wasn't until his wife noticed the indentation on his ankles from his boots that he finally saw a doctor. By then, he had already lost more than half his kidney function. If we had caught it sooner, things could have been different. That's why this isn't just a symptom, it's a signal. A warning. If you press on your ankle and see your fingerprint stay behind, that's what we call pitting edema. It means your body is retaining fluid. That fluid should have been filtered out by your kidneys. Now let's talk about another sign that often flies under the radar: numbness, or tingling in the feet. You might notice it as a strange sensation when you're lying down at night. Maybe a little buzzing, a crawling feeling, or even a loss of temperature sensitivity. It's easy to dismiss it as poor circulation or just getting older. But when your kidneys are not functioning well, toxins build up in the bloodstream. Those toxins can damage your peripheral nerves, especially the ones in your feet. This condition is called peripheral neuropathy, and it's more dangerous than it seems. I remember one woman, a retired schoolteacher in her 70s. She came to me because her feet felt dead when she walked. She didn't think it was serious. One day, she stepped on a piece of glass while gardening. She didn't feel a thing. Weeks later, an infection had set in, and she nearly lost a toe. This is the reality of neuropathy. You don't just lose sensation, you lose protection. You can't respond to pain because you don't feel it. That puts you at risk for injury, for infection, and in the worst cases, for amputation. The bigger picture here is this: when your kidneys are in trouble, your feet often suffer first. They swell, they go numb, they become uncomfortable, even though you might not realize why. These aren't random problems. They're connected, and if you pay attention, you can catch kidney disease at a stage when it's still manageable. You might even slow it down or stop it altogether. But it begins with listening to the signals, with not brushing things off as just age or just tired feet. Your feet could be trying to save your life. So I ask you, as someone who has seen the quiet warnings far too many times show, are your feet today? Are they swollen by evening? Do you sometimes feel tingling or pins and needles when you're resting? Have you lost a bit of feeling in your toes and just chalked it up to old shoes? Don't ignore it. Ask questions. Talk to your doctor. These signs might be the earliest way your body is telling you something is off, and the sooner you act, the better your chances of protecting your kidney sand, your independence. Foot pain is something many people dismiss too quickly. We assume it's from walking too much, wearing the wrong shoes, or simply getting older. But when you live in a body where every system is connected, pain in your feet might be coming from a place you would never expect your kidneys. Over the years, I've had countless patients come into my office complaining of discomfort in their feet. Some thought they had arthritis. Others blamed it on long days at work. But when we dug deeper, the root cause was kidney disease. This is not just about tired feet. It's about understanding that your kidneys play a vital role in your bone health, your uric acid levels, and your body's ability to manage inflammation. Your kidneys help regulate calcium and phosphorus in the blood. When kidney function declines, these minerals become imbalanced. This can lead to a condition called renal osteodystrophia, form of bone disease, directly linked to kidney failure. In simple terms, your bones start to weaken, and because your feet carry your entire body weight, they're often the first place you'll feel that pain. One patient I remember vividly was a woman in her early 60s. She complained about sharp pain in her heels and arches. She had tried every kind of shoe and massage, but the pain never fully went away. When we checked her labs, her phosphorus levels were elevated, her calcium was low, and her kidney function had dropped significantly. That foot pain was her body's way of signaling that her bones were in trouble. And then there's gout, a condition many people have heard of but few understand deeply. Gout is caused by a buildup of uric acid in the blood. Normally, your kidneys help filter out excess uric acid. But when they aren't working well, that uric acid crystallizes. Those crystals settle into joints, most commonly the big toe. I've seen strong, active men brought to tears by a gout flare. The pain is sharp, burning, and often comes without warning. The joint becomes red, hot, and swollen. It's easy to misdiagnose this as a foot injury or sprain, but it's actually a sign that the kidneys are failing to do their job. Gout isn't just a dietary problem, it's a kidney problem. And foot pain, especially sudden or severe, might be your body's way of urging you to look deeper. Now let's turn to another visual sign that something is off: changes in the color of your feet. Most people don't examine their feet closely unless they're putting on socks or lotion. But if you look carefully, your feet can reveal a lot about your circulation and your kidneys. When kidney function declines, it often affects your blood vessels. Poor circulation can lead to a variety of color changes in the feet. Pale or bluish skin can mean there isn't enough oxygen reaching the tissues. That's often due to poor arterial circulation, which is common in both diabetes and advanced kidney disease. On the other hand, dark red or ruddy feet may indicate poor venous return. Your blood isn't making its way back to the heart properly, and it pools in the lower limbs. One of my patients, a man in his 70s with a long history of high blood pressure, came in for a routine checkup. As I examined his feet, I noticed his toes had a dusky bluish tint. He hadn't even seen it. He said he always wore socks and thought his feet looked fine, but those blue toes told me that his circulation was compromised. Further testing revealed his kidney function was in steep decline, and his arteries were significantly narrowed. That slight change in color turned out to be a major clue in diagnosing his underlying disease. Another patient had dark patches on her ankles and tops of her feet. She thought it was just age spots. But in truth, it was hyperpigmentation caused by scratching. Her phosphorus levels were too high, making her skin itchy. Again, the kidneys were involved. What's more, these color changes can sometimes indicate more serious issues. If blood flow is restricted long enough, tissue can begin to die. That's when you see blackened toes or areas that look almost burnt. This is not just cosmetic. This is gangrene. And if left untreated, it can lead to amputations. It's a terrifying reality that I've had to walk through with some patients. That's why I urge especially those over the age of 50, to take a good look at their feet regularly. Not just for dryness or cracks, but for color. Healthy feet should have a warm pink tone. Anything pale, blue, dark red, or black needs medical attention. Your feet are mirrors. They reflect what's happening deep inside your body. Foot pain isn't always just foot pain. Discoloration isn't just aging. These are signs, clues, warnings, and they deserve your full attention. You don't have to wait until your kidneys are failing completely to do something. You just have to listen a little closer. Look a little longer, and take action when something feels or looks wrong. Dry and itchy feet are one of those things people don't think twice about. You might blame it on the weather, on old shoes, or maybe a reaction to soap. But in my years of practice, I've learned that when the itch won't go away, when the dryness becomes unbearable and your skin begins to flake and crack, it's often more than just skin deep. It could be your kidneys struggling in silence. Many people don't realize that the kidneys help balance the minerals in your blood. When that balance is thrown off, one of the first things to suffer is your skin. One of the biggest culprits behind itchy skin in kidney patients is phosphorus. Healthy kidneys remove excess phosphorus from your blood. But when kidney function drops, phosphorus builds up. This excess irritates the nerves in your skin and causes intense itching. For some patients, this is most noticeable at night when they try to sleep. For others, it appears in the form of dry, scaly patches around the ankles and feet. I remember one woman who came to me in tears. She said she hadn't slept in weeks. The itching in her feet was driving her mad. She had tried every lotion on the shelf, every home remedy, but nothing worked. Her blood tests revealed her phosphorus levels were dangerously high. Within weeks of managing her kidney condition, the itching improved. That was her body's way of screaming for help, and it came through her skin. But it's not just phosphorus. When the kidneys fail, they also affect your hydration levels. Your skin dries out, loses its elasticity, and becomes more fragile. That's when you start noticing cracks around the heels, peeling between the toes, or an overall roughness in texture. These changes may seem cosmetic, but they're not. Dry skin is more prone to injury. Tiny cuts or cracks can become entry points for bacteria, and when combined with poor kidney function, even a small wound can turn into a serious infection. Which brings us to one of the most alarming signs: foot ulcers and poor healing. If you've ever had a small cut or blister on your foot that seemed to take forever to heal, or worse, became infected, that's a red flag. Your kidneys play a role in overall circulation. When they are not working well, blood flow to the extremities becomes compromised. Less blood flow means less oxygen and fewer nutrients reaching your feet. That's a recipe for slow healing. I once treated a gentleman in his late 60s who developed a small blister on the side of his foot from a new pair of shoes. He didn't think much of it. But 3 weeks later, the wound had not healed. In fact, it had gotten worse. When he finally came in, we discovered he had developed an ulcer deep, infected, and dangerously close to the bone. His kidney function had declined more than he realized, and his circulation was suffering. Another issue at play is neuropathy. When you lose feeling in your feet, you stop noticing small injuries. A scrape goes undetected. A splinter becomes infected. And because the immune system is often weakened in kidney patients, the body struggles to fight off those infections. Ulcers become deeper, more painful, and much harder to treat. Some patients even develop gangrenous death caused by lack of blood flow and face the devastating possibility of amputation. I've had to deliver that news more than once, and it never gets easier. What started as a tiny wound turned into something life-altering, all because the signals were ignored for too long. And it's not just the wounds, it's the healing process. A healthy body responds quickly to cuts and scrapes, but when the kidneys are compromised, healing slows to a crawl. You might notice that even after applying ointment or keeping the area clean, your skin just doesn't bounce back like it used to. This is not normal aging. This is your body working without one of its most important filters. And when that filter is clogged, every other system has to work harder. That's why it's essential to check your feet regularly, not just for swelling or color, but for texture, for tiny cracks, for spots that look different. Ask yourself, is this cut healing the way it should? Have I had this scab for longer than usual? Are my heels more cracked than they used to be? These are not small concerns. They are signs. They are opportunities to catch something serious before it becomes irreversible. And if you're living with high blood pressure, diabetes, or a family history of kidney disease, your risk is even higher. There's power in noticing. There's strength in acting early. Your feet may be far from your kidneys, but they are connected in ways we can't afford to ignore. Every itch, every crack, every slow healing wound is a conversation your body is trying to start. The question is, are you listening? There's a strange sensation that some people feel when they try to rest. It starts in the lower legs. A twitch, a tingle, a creeping feeling under the skin. It builds slowly until it becomes unbearable. You feel an urge to move, to shake, to stretch. But no matter what you do, the discomfort returns. It's not exactly pain, but it's deeply unsettling. If this sounds familiar, you might be dealing with restless leg syndrome. And while many people see it as a harmless nuisance, it can actually be one of the hidden signs of kidney disease. Restless leg syndrome, or RLS, is more than just an annoyance. It can disrupt your sleep, affect your mood, and rob you of the rest your body so desperately needs. Over the years, I've met dozens of patients who suffered silently with this condition. They thought they were just anxious, or maybe it was just part of getting older. But after careful examination, many of them were in the early stages of kidney failure. Their bodies were sending them signals, they just didn't know how to read them. One of the reasons restless leg syndrome is connected to kidney disease is because of how the kidneys affect nerve health and chemical balance. When your kidneys start to fail, they don't just let toxins build up. They also stop producing enough of a hormone called erythropoietin. This hormone helps your body make red blood cells. Without enough of it, you become anemic. And anemia has been strongly linked to RLS. In addition, low iron levels, which are common in kidney disease, make the symptoms even worse. It's a web of subtle imbalances that together create a deep sense of restlessness, especially in the evening. I remember one patient in particular, a man in his late 60s who used to be a truck driver. He told me he could never sit still anymore. Watching television in the evening was torture. Lying down to sleep was impossible. His legs would not stop moving. He tried heat packs, cold showers, even tying blankets tightly around his calves. Nothing worked. When we ran his labs, his iron levels were low, his red blood cells were depleted, and his kidney function was at about 30%. The RLS wasn't random. It was rooted in his kidneys. What makes this symptom especially dangerous is that it doesn't feel like a kidney issue at all. There's no back pain, no swelling, no changes in urine, just an overwhelming discomfort in the legs. But that's how kidney disease works. It's often silent. It moves through the body without making a sound until the damage is already done. That's why paying attention to even the most unusual symptoms is so important. Restless leg syndrome is not just about fidgeting. It's your nerves and blood chemistry reacting to a deeper imbalance. Beyond the physical discomfort, RLS also takes a heavy toll on emotional and mental health. Imagine trying to sleep every night, but never being able to relax. Your legs demand movement, just when your mind craves stillness. Over time, this leads to chronic fatigue, irritability, and in many cases, depression. People begin to fear bedtime. They dread the night because they know rest won't come. And if you're already dealing with kidney disease, the added stress of sleep deprivation only makes things worse. It weakens your immune system, disrupts your hormone balance, and accelerates other symptoms. Sleep is when the body repairs itself. It's when your cells regenerate, your heart rate slows, and your mind processes the day. Without restful sleep, everything becomes harder. And restless leg syndrome stands directly in the way of that healing process. It's one of those conditions that doesn't just affect the body, it affects the spirit. Patients begin to lose hope. They feel like their own bodies are betraying them. But there is good news. Once we understand the connection between RLS and kidney disease, we can begin to treat both. Iron supplements, changes in diet, Better management of phosphorus and calcium, all of these can help. And most importantly, we can slow the progression of kidney damage before it gets worse. The first step is always awareness, noticing what your body is doing, even when it seems unrelated. If you've ever found yourself pacing at night, kicking your legs in frustration, or waking up more tired than when you went to bed, don't ignore it. Talk to your doctor. Ask questions. Get your kidney function tested. Because what feels like a restless leg might actually be your kidneys calling out for help. When we talk about kidney disease, most people picture lab results, medications, or dialysis machines. But what they don't realize is that some of the earliest and most urgent signs don't come through numbers or charts. They show up in places we often ignore. They show up in our feet. Over these past few parts, we've looked closely at swelling, numbness, skin changes, pain, wounds, and restlessness. Each one, on its own, might seem like a small inconvenience, but together they form a pattern, a quiet, steady alarm your body is sounding long before the damage becomes irreversible. As someone who has treated kidney patients for decades, I can tell you that the difference between someone who catches kidney disease early and someone who discovers it too late is often just a matter of attention. It's not about wealth or access or even education. It's about listening to your body when it whispers, not just when it screams. Too many people wait until the symptoms are undeniable. By then, their kidneys may already be functioning at less than 20%. The tragedy isn't just in the damage, it's in the fact that it could have been slowed or even prevented. I've sat across from countless patients who said the same words, "If only I had known. If only I had looked closer. If only someone had told me these little signs mattered." That's why I share this now. Not to scare you, but to give you power. Knowledge is power, but only if we choose to use it. Your body isn't trying to confuse you, it's trying to protect you. Every time your feet swell, every itch that won't go away, every wound that lingers longer than it should, those are not just annoyances. They are invitations to pay closer attention. The good news is this: kidney disease, especially in its early stages, can often be slowed down. Sometimes, it can even be reversed. I've seen patients make small, consistent changes in their lifestyle and avoid dialysis entirely. I've seen people who thought they were on a one-way path find a way back. But it always starts with awareness, with looking at your feet and asking honest questions, with taking action before symptoms grow louder and harder to treat. Prevention doesn't mean fear, it means hope. It means walking into your future with your eyes wide open. It means partnering with your doctor instead of waiting for bad news. It means checking your blood pressure regularly, getting routine labs, managing your blood sugar, and understanding that your body is always talking to you, especially through your feet. And if something feels off, it probably is. Let me speak to you now not just as a kidney specialist, but as someone who truly cares about your health. I've seen what happens when people ignore the signs. I've seen the regret, the frustration, the quiet heartbreak of patients who say, "I wish I had acted sooner." But I've also seen the victories, the people who caught it early, the ones who changed their habits, adjusted their medications, and kept their kidneys functioning for years longer than anyone expected. Those stories are just as real and they can be yours. So what can you do now? Start simple. Look at your feet every day. Notice any swelling, color changes, or discomfort. Keep track of symptoms, even if they seem small. Talk to your doctor about your kidney health, especially if you have risk factors like high blood pressure, diabetes, or a family history. Don't be afraid to ask for lab tests. Don't hesitate to speak up about what you're feeling. You have the right to understand your body. You have the right to protect your health. And finally, share this knowledge. Maybe you're doing fine right now, but someone you love might not be. A spouse, a parent, a friend. Tell them what you've learned. Encourage them to look at their own signs. The more we spread awareness, the more lives we can change. Your feet may be far from your kidneys, but they are closer to the truth than you think. They carry the weight of your health day after day. And sometimes they carry messages your heart hasn't yet heard. Listen to them, trust them, and take action before it's too late.